Welcome back, venturers. It's time for another discussion about VNs. I am Amar, and together with Taurus, we talk character design. And to do that, we have invited a loose cannon, a person who goes on many rants, such as "Don't confuse reality with fiction." Welcome to the podcast, Bruce Sensei.
Thank you so much. My name is BruceGoneLoose, as you could read, and I'm here today to talk with MR and Taurus about character designs because I feel like character designs could be extremely interesting, especially depending on the type of visual novel you're going for, the developer. There's a lot of really neat things to talk about when talking about character designs.
And you're a YouTuber who's put out several videos about visual novels as well?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah, I am a visual novel YouTuber. I occasionally do reviews. I sometimes do Let's Plays. I kind of do the whole shebang. I'm not really a, one size fits all kind of YouTuber. But yeah, I do visual novel YouTube videos, and if you feel like checking me out, you're free to do so. But yeah, character designs.
Nice. Variety is the spice of life, after all. But yes, we are here to discuss character designs, and I know that's a very wide topic to discuss. There's a whole lot involved that goes into it. What are your first thoughts, Bruce?
My main, there is a lot of different, varying areas of character designs. One of the things that I first think about when I think about character designs are like the trope character designs. For example, you have like tsunderes, and when you think about a tsundere, it's probably like a blonde, twin-tailed, girl. And then you have other like gyaru character designs, like they have like nail polish, and maybe they have a tan or something. That's my first thoughts when it comes to character designs personally, but I'm kind of curious about you guys. Like, what do you guys first think when you think about character designs in visual novels, that is?
I think when it comes to character design, I look at it in two categories. One I would deem allure, and the second I would deem purpose. So the first example, the one that comes natural to your mind, is what I would categorize as allure, a design that is enticing because ultimately VNs are a product, they are to be enjoyed, they are sort of entertainment. So allure aspect seems to drag people in, whereas purpose gives a reason for those characters to exist. So they are locked for whatever role they will serve in a story. So that's how I categorize on the topest, on the highest level, the distinction.
Okay, interesting. And to be fair, those feel like two different sides of the same coin, in the sense that Bruce was mentioning some of the character archetypes, but those are, I guess you could say, the individual personalities. If you have a tsundere, that's all just about the kind of personality you have. It's, whether it's the classic or modern type, just that underlying approach of, I hate you, oh no, I like you now, no, I hate you. You can have any character with that kind of personality, but as mentioned, when you think of the stereotypical image, you imagine the blonde hair and the twin tails, and maybe on the shorter side too. But now how MR is describing it is that there's also that side of the appearance designed to appeal to any potential customers. Because it's a visual novel, your art is one of the main selling points, and you want people to buy your product in the end, after all. So I guess when you mention stuff about the part of the character appearance matching their role in the story, MR, does that mean it's necessarily tied to having that kind of personality archetype too?
I never said that they had to match. I said that there are two different axioms by which I would measure, right? So, for example, a character can be designed to be alluring and or bring people in, but the role may be insignificant in the grander scheme of things on the title. And probably it depends on the title, by the way. I should mention that. In the Mareeck, tsunderes could fulfill both aspects. It is alluring for people to get the title because they want to get the typical tsunderes, and their role in the story to be a heroine with dedicated route. But if on the flip side you design for a mystery novel, then you could be alert. Oh, there's a tsundere and there's a mystery novel, but her role might not have much to do with typical character design that came naturally to Bruce. Right? There will be other traits that will deem her role in that kind of narrative.
And I want to say I absolutely agree with that. It's just kind of like maybe a different perspective sort of thing. Like I don't necessarily mean like if I see a blonde twin-tailed, character, maybe I shouldn't assume that they're just going to be a tsundere, but it's 9 times out of 10 that they are going to be. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Although, I do want to mention a title like Muv-Luv in the case of getting back to just the pure basics of a character design. Because character designs aren't just there to be tied to personalities. I mean, you could also mix and match however you please. And I mentioned Muv-Luv because they do a very good job of, I suppose you could say, distinguishing the characters from one another. They are, in my opinion, pretty basic. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. When you consider the main heroines of Muv-Luv's Extra, for example, they are mostly distinguished by their hair color and their hairstyle. And then I suppose their height too. Some of them are pretty tall and some of them are pretty short. But I mean, that's a good thing, because at a glance, their character designs make them all distinguishable from each other, and you know exactly who you're dealing with before they even open their mouth. I'm sorry, not before you first meet them, but as soon as their character sprite pops up on the screen, you have that instant recognition.
And I agree for them.
I would
Sorry,
add
sorry,
on
Amaro,
top
go
of that. Yeah, I would also add on top of that, when Muv-Luv Exceed is having a very simple distinction between those characters, reinforced with the body language that title has implemented. Because think about the few first interaction with a given character and how much more animated, for example, Tama is, which fits her personality. In contrast to Kei, who is way more stoic and reserved.
And Tama has the bright pink hair with massive, I think she has twin tails of some sort. Whereas Kei has the black hair, and I think it's like the most normal out of any of them, how it's slightly spiky, but
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what were you saying, Bruce?
Well, I'd like to diverge this topic, if you don't mind. Similar. Recently, a game called Since Memories Off the Starry Sky came out, and interestingly enough, like conversely to what I believe you guys are very appreciative in Muv-Luv for its character designs, I believe Since Memories Off the Starry Sky is not good at that, because all of the heroine designs are extremely samey. Like I recently made a video of it. I don't mean to plug, but I made a video of it. And it's recently released. It's just the character designs are all the same, and I'm not asking personally, like for every single character to have like purple hair or green hair or be a 500-year-old lolly, but I want characters to be at least slightly unique. And in that sort of visual novel, it wasn't, whereas in Muv-Luv, it was. And I feel like in a lot of older visual novels, they're better at accentuating these sort of traits and characters.
Well, I don't know if that's a high standard or low standard, but however we quantify Bruce's standard, I don't have such standard. As long as they have mates, it's already in my shopping cart at VN, okay?
Oh my goodness.
Classic MR.
That's it. Well, first of all,
mates rule, okay?
Made sure, get out of here. First of all, even if Bruce might not want to, I'll plug his videos. You should check out his channel and see his thoughts about the Memories Off game. But second of all, yes, I mean, it's one of those things where you don't really notice character design unless it's like phenomenally good or it's really bad. Most of the time, if a character design does its job, it should feel natural. You shouldn't really be questioning that, oh yeah, these characters feel distinct, and oh yeah, this character is recognizable to me at a glance. When you have, you've shown some of the shots in our scrolling background of the heroines in your memories off game, and I think in anime, there's also that issue where a lot of characters will tend to look very similar in the sense that they have like the same face. So if you don't really have the hairstyles to distinguish them, and you don't have much else going on with their character designs to, I guess, really pop out, then you're right. I mean, there's going to be a serious problem if you kind of confusing the characters, of them just kind of running together in your mind, right?
Yeah, and actually, I think you mentioned something really interesting. You said the same face. So you can really see the difference between like anime, like nowadays in 2024, and like the anime styles in the 2000s or the 90s or the 80s. And I think you can some of the scrolling shots are from some older visual novels, and I think the evolution of the character design is really interesting because I know for a fact that a lot of people do not like the huge eye old style that visual novels and anime once used. And I mean, obviously, even to this day, they still have pretty big eyes, but you know what I mean, right?
Like canon, right?
Yeah, specifically canon, but there are a lot of other examples, such as One or Air, which are all also kind of technically key games, but you know what I mean.
That also
And
raises the question. Oh, yeah, go for it, Emor. Yeah.
I have another angle to look through when it comes to the topic that Bruce just brought up. So change throughout the years. And I feel like, and this is my theory, so to say, but maybe you guys can confirm it, that over the years, characters in the background have been bleaked out. What I mean by that is, especially in the older VNs, I tend to find more characters that are literally in the background with colored hair, such as, probably the biggest example I'll bring again on this topic is Mavlov. If you look in the CGs, you'll see that they not only embrace the uniqueness, standoffish, and distinguishable nature of anime characters, but they have drawn CGs with characters in the background that have blue hair, green hair, crazy color hair. But that's no longer the case in recent years.
And they're a quick and easy way to recognize that they're a background character. It's not like you look at them and think, oh man, that's one of the main characters. It's like they're still recognizable enough to know, oh, the developers, the artists are just having fun with some of these random no-names that we'll never see again.
Exactly. And I feel like in the let's say the modern era, you imagine, have you ever seen a VN with a high school setting in which the main group of friends all have different crazy colored hair, and the rest of the entire school has the normal 2 colors or maybe 3?
They all have black hair, and they're lucky if they even have a face.
Oh, that's exactly. Everybody has black hair, no face, and only the main group is allowed to be unique.
Yeah, that game of Spot the main character.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is it's kind of interesting, but it's also kind of annoying. Like it's hard to really quantify, but like, should a bunch of random background characters have this colorful hair? I mean, in one aspect, it makes the game more unique, but in another aspect, obviously, it's unrealistic. So personally, for me, I don't know what the right answer is, but I just think it's interesting that we went from, as MR said, colorful hair to pretty much no colorful hair in the backgrounds.
Because that is a good point. They are supposed to be part of the background, and the focus is well, apparently supposed to be on something else. So if you have these very fun, energetic backgrounds with full of life and other people, isn't that taking away from, I guess you could say, the main characters who are supposed to be the focus of the scene? That what you're saying?
I mean, that's a fair counter argument.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that argument.
Although I appreciate how can I say it? How Marvel embraces the idea of, yeah, this is the anime world. Everybody has crazy hair, and on top of that, all the colors in the rainbow.
Now,
My main thought.
Yeah, go.
Sorry, Taurus, go ahead.
No, not at all. You go, Bruce.
I was gonna say, like, my main thought is like I think you don't necessarily have to. I mean, it's a visual novel at the end of the day, so obviously there's only an amount of seriousness that you can take with it. But I think personally, for me, I really like eccentric, colorful designs. Especially when you're talking about character design. Even if it's background characters, I get that, as your argument suggested, that it takes away from the forefront from your heroines. But at the same time, I just want to look at some cute anime girls. If they're in the background, if they're in the foreground, who cares? I just want to look at them. So that's just my thoughts, and maybe I'm just a simp, but yeah.
Speaking of which, I will say, my favorite are the green-haired anime girls. I know
I
they're
absolutely agree.
nice. There are always a bunch of the other types of hair. Some of them are more classic than others, but we rarely get to see green-haired anime girls as much, especially when they're the kind of more serious ones, or like the more gruff kinds, like Saki from Never Seven is a great one. Great example. Saki is the best. Actually, she's not. I'm sorry, Saki. But still, I really treasure those green-haired girls. Yeah.
I was thinking Karen from Making Lovers. I believe she's green-haired.
Oh,
or,
nice.
The sword girl in that one Ubisoft visual novel. Sorry, that's not very specific, but you know what I mean, right? She's a lolly. I specifically treasure green-haired lollies. Maybe I should not be admitting this, but
What do you think, Amar? What's your favorite? You got to spill the beans now.
I completely agree with you, Taurus. The best kind of combination is green-haired mates, so you're completely correct.
Nice. This is supremacy. Green hair supremacy in the house.
Yeah. Although, at the same time, the moment there is a title, and there exists one, that creates a main character with green hair that I hate, it's like personal betrayal.
Oh no.
I actually, one thing I found kind of interesting. Well, maybe not interesting, but I feel like the most antagonistic people have green hair. Am I wrong? I feel like there's so many antagonists with green hair. I mean, obviously, if you have the heroines with green hair, absolutely double thumbs up. But I feel like there's a lot of antagonists too with green hair.
I'm going to think that the main time you see antagonist hair color, it's blonde. But I think that's because that's more of a, quote unquote normal hair color that doesn't really come across. Out of the weird ones, I'm going to say that purple is the one I most associate with like villains.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Or even pink.
No,
okay,
no
way. No way pink. Purple I could see. Green, that's my choice. But no way pink.
Yeah, I don't see that one either.
Maybe black too? I mean, black's the normal hair color. But
yeah, the default.
The default.
Default. That's the hair color reserved for the main character, Mr. Self-Insert.
Oh god,
Well,
yeah, especially if it obstructs your eyes, right?
But speaking of hair colors, I'm actually super fond of pink characters, or sorry, pink hairstyle characters. What are you guys' favorite art styles in visual novels, or do you have like a favorite, like a developer or artist or something like that?
That was actually a good point I
Huh.
wanted to raise, is about how much the art style affects a character design. Because, for example, my favorite, I would have to say, is Nurse Love Addiction kind of art style, where it's in a very, I guess you could say, washed out, pastel, soft borders to give it a very dreamlike quality. And a lot of the characters, well, maybe not a lot, but some of them have the somewhat exaggerated droopy eyes kind of style. And it works very well in Nurse Love Addiction's art style, but I was also thinking that if you had something a lot harsher, like maybe Danganronpa, that wouldn't carry across as well. So you could even have the same character design, but in a different lens through the art style would give very different meanings. It would come across very differently, maybe not as good as all. So I was wondering how much that plays into it. But to answer your question, yes, I would say Nurse Love Addiction.
Um, well, maybe I'll let MR talk for a little bit, but
I think
I do have some things to talk about on this topic.
okay. I think the art style that left the most impression on me has to go back to Steins Gate. I think the way they drawn the original with the washed out, often borderless characters, so they kind of blend with the background in a very unique way. That was so cool and so unique. I just can't stomach the idea of Steins Gate Elite when they ported the most generic ass anime art style back to the VM that was super unique. That felt like, what the fuck did you do?
It helps
You
that
ruined something super unique.
The character designs in Steins Gate are pretty simple, right? Like you have Okabe, he's just a guy
Yes.
in a lab coat. And you've got heroines, it's like,
Exactly.
yeah, she has, well, red hair or brown hair and a coat. Then you have this one character who's like, hey, black hair and kind of a white dress. They're very simple, but because of Steins Gate's art style, it draws it out so much, right?
Exactly, and it kind of feels like those sprites spill over to the rest of the CG and or background because the borders aren't drawn, the outlines are non-existent. Like, that's so unique.
Speaking of unique, I really want to mention this. It's hard to say whether or not you'd call it a visual novel, but the game is called Living with Sister Monochrome Fantasy, and it's a visual novel in essence, and it uses a completely black and white palette and designs for all the heroines and whatnot. And honestly, when I first heard about the game, I picked it up because it was an Inamoto game, because I'm a degenerate. But I did not like the initial design of it. I'm going to be honest. But once I actually read through the thing, I thought it was awesome. Like, I think unique things like that are what a lot of visual novels at least should strive to do. Like, as you say, Steins Gate, like, it has that oil painting-esque kind of visual. I don't know how to explain it, but you know what I mean. You
Yeah.
want unique visuals in, well, your visual novels. So, yeah, I just felt that was worth mentioning because, like, I really appreciate the visual novels that go out of their way to do something different. Especially in character design, of course, which is what we're talking about.
And for something like Monochrome Fantasy, which is very limiting, only restricting yourself to 2 colors, that relies a lot more on the character designs being a little busier, right? You need more involved with them to really distinguish them. You gotta put more effort into their appearances instead of taking the path of least resistance, like in Muv-Luv, where you have one color for the hairstyle and one type of hairstyle, and you're done. Monochrome Fantasy,
Oh.
that's a very different approach, right?
Oh lordy, you guys got to see the H scenes of that visual novel. Holy crap! With only 2 colors, they do so much. I can promise you that. I can
Oh,
promise
God.
you that.
That's very. But you're saying, as far as character design goes, you'd say that VN rose to the occasion?
It might actually be one of the best modern examples of great character design because of how much it can do with only 2 colors. It's really hard to explicitly explain without, going into the details we probably should not go into. But it's incredible. And if anyone half likes, stat raiser / visual novels kind of games, I highly recommend it. And if you're looking for a good primer in character design, especially animated monochrome character design, look no farther than Monochrome Fantasy.
I remember you talking about that title on your channel, and I immediately added to my wish list because I appreciate, after reading runs, how limitations open gates to creativity. And why I compared both is back when we had an episode talking about voice acting in VNs, runs is the one example I brought about the title that has to compensate for absolute lack of voice acting, and at the same time having a varied cast of characters that you need to distinguish. And in typical VN fashion, that job lands on the voice acting, right? And similar in that vein, the monochrome that you brought up has to compensate for the lack of colors with visual fidelity, or maybe the amount of details, and over designing maybe some aspects of characters. So that is very intriguing for me to see and experience. But sadly, it got stuck in the never-ending list that is a backlog.
Well, you really gotta check it out someday. I feel like you specifically, MR, will enjoy it.
I feel like I'm getting singled out, but okay. I'll trust you on that.
One other point I want to make is about how much of a character design also goes into their outfit. Like I mentioned earlier with Muv-Luv, sometimes it's just enough to go hair color, hairstyle. As MR kind of mentioned with Steins Gate, you can have outfits that are also very simple, but also contribute to the character design. And then you have some characters who can be defined entirely through their outfit. Like at the start, I know Bruce mentioned Gyarus, who have that very typical schoolgirl outfit of the short skirt and the leopard print and the blonde hair curls and makeup, where a lot of the design is with external factors instead of something inherently with that person. You could have something like a police uniform that you always see a character in. And in a sense, that outfit makes the character, into the point where, if you saw that character out of that outfit, then she would seem like a completely different person. You know what I mean? So I think as far as character designs go, sometimes it's very critical where the outfit can be a huge part of it as well.
Okay, I have to say, I tried the Bruce approach, okay? So the moment you described the outfit that makes a character, I immediately think, okay, what naturally comes to my mind? A character that cannot be separated from her outfit, otherwise it loses the charm. It has to be Tama from Move again, and her big ass bell, okay? That immediately goes to my mind.
Really, if we're going for the Bruce strat, the first thing that came to my mind was the traditional Miko outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm thinking Fox Girls here. I mean, I'm always thinking Fox Girls, and you guys know it. So instantly, Miko outfit. What else?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there is one other thing, a design trait that I never really understood in maybe they're more mature character designs. You know how some characters just have like a belt, but it's never buckled up? That annoys the heck out of me. Like for example, Amane from Fruit of Grisaya. I know there's like 5 others, and I just phase them out of my mind. But they're everywhere, and I don't get why. Like, why don't you buckle up your belt? Like, it takes 2 seconds. I can't believe it.
Or-
Anyway, sorry. That's my rant.
Or like seeing a character
But at the same time,
wearing a hoodie and they never wear the hoodie.
I know. It drives me insane.
But
I can't.
think about this. This is a mission accomplished. It is distinguishable, unique, standoffish, and they live rent-free in your head all the time, okay?
It makes them memorable, but it does not make me like them.
Oh yeah,
That's
for
all.
the wrong reasons, mind you, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished, but I wish the mission was not accomplished.
Oh, that's terrible.
Although I wanted to flip the topic we had just now when it comes to distinguishable, unique, standoffish design of a character. Do you have an example of a character who had a very unassuming character design? And again, from the lenses of 2 axioms I said before. So they aren't appealing, or at the very least don't strike you as super unique, but the role on the story is surprisingly deep.
That's more of a plot question, isn't it?
To some degree. But this is why I specifically put in the pictures that are running in the background an Amatsutsumi example, because they created a character that was very unassuming from the visual design standpoint, especially compared to other heroines, but her role in the story was so incredible, both from the, how can I say it, her design and the role she has to fulfill, and personality-wise, fits the story like a glove, like no one else. And to me personally, she was the highlight of the entire VN, and I couldn't even see that VN without her. Even though the design isn't as outlandish and distinguishable or crazy anime over the top compared to the others.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So in a way, character designs can also be misleading into a character's role or importance in the story.
Exactly. And can have that hidden in a plain sight approach to them.
Sneaky.
I never really thought about
Misdirected.
it that way, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a really good point.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, on that note then, I guess we can be wrapping this episode up. Thank you so much, Bruce, for stopping by. I hope you had a blast getting to talk about some cool character designs with us.
As always, and I hope you guys did not cringe too hard from my conversations.
No.
I also want to thank you, Bruce, for stopping by. And to all our listeners, go listen to Bruce. He is what I would call BDCC, Burst-Driven Content Creator. He appears, releases 7 videos, and then disappears. So go
It's
check
so
him out.
true. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Omar.
And for this episode, VNture out.
VNture out.